Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we are looking at a little, what do we got? 4 games here on a Tuesday night in the NBA, Nate. In this one, we're taking a look at the Bulls and the Brooklyn Nets. Nets on a back-to-back after finally getting their second win of the season. Apparently, they play each and every night of the season as well, so we are going to continue to talk about them. Want to make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along with us as we bring you these game videos and our player props video each and every weekday of this regular season. Also have our great odds finder tool on thelines.com. That's where you can go ahead and make sure you are shopping all of those lines across U.S. sportsbooks to the best of your ability. Nate, let's go ahead and jump into these lines here and talk Bulls and Nets.
Yeah, to be exact, this is the 6th game in a week here for the Nets, or 5th game in a week. Excuse me. I mean, they almost are playing every night though. And on a back-to-back situation, they are -1.5 right now at home. That total shrunk a little bit to 230. I haven't heard anything in terms of Kyrie or KD sitting, but that's a possibility here. Zach LaVine is expected to go for the Bulls and then sit tomorrow as he manages his knee. Second game here, Warriors are +1 at Heat. They just beat the Heat at home, but different story in Miami. Steph Curry is good to go with that neck issue. Magic +2.5 at the Thunder. And then the other game we break down, right now the Wolves are +3.5 at the Suns, who are expected to be without DeAndre Ayton. But we really like the Suns at a shrinking spread there. I think there's some great value. But looking at the Nets on a back-to-back here, they held out Ben Simmons last night. I don't know if it was kind of the same thing that the Lakers did with Russ Westbrook, was like let's maybe see if we play better without him. And they got a win. I mean, granted, it was against the Pacers, but it really freed up Nick Claxton to be that rim runner, to live in the dunker spot and get 19 points. Seth Curry also held out after really struggling in his debut. And Utah Watanabe played 22 minutes, was a -16, actually got the game-winning stop on Halliburton, in which he just fouled the shit out of him, and it wasn't called. So, I mean, he's terrible. He had a -16 rating. Just had to throw that out there but the back-to-backs last year as home favorites, they were 5-29 against the spread. On short rest, it's really a really short rest when you look at the entire week here. It's really hard to trust them. Last year, they were 4-9-1 against the spread on back. And you asked me to repeat that because it's so stark. 5-29 as home favorites here. Not really a spread. Just thought it was kind of ridiculous that was not called. Look, the Nets just still did cover, so did not screw our pick in any way. We're just talking about the Bulls winning here. I think I definitely lean that way. We talked again and again the last few videos for the Nets that they can't get a rebound. They won the rebounding battle by 1 against the Pacers, who only played Miles Turner 20 minutes. Look, I would be all over the Nick Vucevic props here when we get them up. I'm looking at DeMar DeRozan as well once we get those up because, the Nets are just a sieve down low, worst defensive rating right now, and they're not going to win the rebounding battle here. DeRozan is excellent in clutch time. The Bulls just beat the Celtics, taking advantage of short rest for those Celtics. And, if the Celtics are an excellent offensive team that's underachieving defensively right now, the Nets are a two-man offensive team that is never going to be good on defense this year, it appears. So I think if it's the same situation, you got to like the Bulls to pull out the win here. And I kind of lean towards the over as long as KD and Kyrie are in. I think if you can get it to keep dropping a little bit, you should be all over that. Look, the Bulls have averaged 233 in their last 4 games here. They're playing with more pace, and they're averaging 119 on their own in that span. So, the Nets are going to come with the points. So I think the over is a good play as well.
Yeah, the over scares me a bit when you look at the under for the Nets when they're on no rest. I think there's good reason for it. That's the only reason. I agree that from maybe a quick bird's eye view, you go 230. I mean, it's 230. It's fluctuating between 230 and 232 right now. Is that total? The Nets don't play defense. There's no D in their name, so I can't make a funny pun about how they don't have any D. But they just, like you said, already second worst defensive rating at this point. They actually somehow got a little bit worse in rebounding last night, despite winning. As we look at their stats on back-to-back nights, still, their defensive rating got a bit worse. Still the third worst net rating in the league, and the recipe for beating this team is shoot threes and really, just let KD and Kyrie eat and just allow nobody else. And that's really, when the Pacers made it was a total game of runs for the Nets, and I think it's going to continue to be for most of this season. In that game against the Pacers last night, runs. They're up 17, they're up 4. They're up, 20 again, they're up 4. So, you don't trust them, and it's obvious what's happening. KD, Kyrie aren't on the floor to just score buckets every single time down for them, and take all of their shots. There's no offense without those two guys. There's no ball movement. There's a lot of standing in the corners and watching in your turn, my turn, and that leads to bottom league in unassisted field goals. It leads to, once again, both these teams being in the top 3 in percentage of their points off of the mid range from 2-point. When you have guys like Kyrie, KD, and then DeMar, that's going to be how you score a lot of your points when those guys all have the highest usage on your team. But if you can't defend the 3 like the Nets can, not that the Bulls are necessarily shooting the most threes and making a ton of them, but they have some pretty good percentages from their guys that are shooting anywhere from like 3 to 7 a game. We're talking about Zach LaVine, Ayo Dosunmu, Goran, Vooch, and actually leave Vooch out of it, but all those guys I just said are shooting 45% from 3. Vooch is still shooting a nice 47 or 37% himself. So I just think there's too many opportunities for this Bulls team to take advantage of a Nets porous wing defense and wing everything. And that just feels like it's like the strong middle class of the Nets is just not there. There is no strong middle class. There's just top tier guys, and then there's some guys that you're using to plug holes when you don't. It's not like you have a squad that's good enough that you can just plug a Nick Claxton in and not expect that to hurt you in certain ways. I mean, I don't want to pick on him too much. He's played decently well, but he's not the guy that you need in the center for them if you're going to play the type of ball that they're going to play. I have a lot of thoughts about that for the Nets in terms of the style of play that they have after watching them twice already this season for the entire game. But yeah, we'll see what happens with Simmons. I'm scared to touch the total. I'm going to take Chicago, and I'm going to feel pretty good about it because, even last year when these two teams played, the Nets needed a Kyrie, Harden, KD fest, if you will, in order to even beat this team. And they won that game 138-112 in classic Harden, Kyrie, KD era Nets basketball, which was super short-lived, but that was what it was. It's not the same team anymore. They don't even have the same. I hate to say it, but like Blake Griffin was at least somewhat decent for them down low defensively compared to what they have this season. I just continue not to like it. There was no way they were going to beat the Pacers by 9 last night, and I feel pretty good about taking Chicago at plus money, and might as well just hit that money line at this point.
Yeah, no Bruce Brown is who I wanted to interject there as a key role player. But yeah, there's several guys out. Like we said, Seth Curry not healthy yet. Yeah, I mean, I think you're right that the total's a little concerning because the Bulls' path to victory might be containing Kyrie and KD. And it's interesting the matchups that they have to throw at them with Caruso and Kyrie. First of all, he wasn't active for any of their matchups with the Nets last year. And Kyrie's last 3 games against the Lakers with Caruso active, 18 points per game, a 98 offensive rating. Granted, Caruso a little better rim protection behind him there, but that's some good individual defense from him when he was on there. And Pat Williams really just locking in on that end of the floor, not playing offense at all. So he can at least give KD some trouble here with the guys on a back-to-back. Asked to carry such a huge load once again last night, combined for over 60. The only path to victory for the Nets. And then the Bulls actually do have a big 3 with Vooch, LaVine and DeRozan, right? They actually have 3 guys that can give you 20 plus and probably will against this poor defense. So I think it's pretty confident on the money line here. It's right now just plus 102. I think that's where you lean. And you can look at the total if you want, but I would rather go money line and then look at props for those 2 most confident guys, DeRozan and Vucevic.
Yeah, I'm with it. Especially if LaVine doesn't play, I think it's likely that he does. But I think the other reason, I prefer an under. Yeah, I don't trust the Nets if those 2 guys don't score close to 70 points for them to get 115 or so to get us close to our total there. And then I really don't really trust a lot of the supporting cast on offense outside of Goran and Dosunmu right now, outside of those big three, like you said, Caruso, Pat Williams, Kobe White, the three main guys that need to come in and play, a supporter role and potentially get some points for these guys. Not really showing up. Kobe White had a few flashes at the beginning of the season where we thought maybe he was going to be the player we thought he was, right back down to his 38% from the field, 29% from three. So there's just not a lot to love in terms of this being an offensive explosion, in my opinion. Neither of these teams also plays fast enough to feel good if they're not super efficient on offense. But like you said, I'm sticking with a Bulls and DeMar, fan favorite and definitely friend of the show, DeMar DeRozan, and his props as he was super successful for us last season. So that is all the time we have for you guys in this one. Want to make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along with us. Catch our other game video tonight and our player props. And until we see you next, happy betting.